Sup shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an update video. I was gonna do an SB reviews today of a track, but in honesty I've been distracted by a few things, good things, such as buying some new clothes for winter, getting some bongo drums, which I think you can see over there or something along those lines there that I plan to use as part of a recording process that I'm doing at the moment and amongst a whole lot of a plethora of other instruments, because I'm recording my third album at the moment. Now, for those of you that are unaware, I, over the last couple of years, have been trying to release an annual album. Initially, it was simply because I'd always wanted to record an album, to mix, master, and produce it. And I've been able to do that now. I've done that twice. I feel like with every album I put out, it improves. And I know that seems like it should be a given because the more you do of something, the better you typically get at it. But I think albums are different. I think with albums, you have a situation where if you're not feeling inspired sufficiently in order to make what you're making, you're going to find that you kind of pump stuff out at an expected rate in a way that just kind of becomes slop. And so for me personally, up until today, or yesterday to be fair, I haven't I've been making a few tracks. Like I've recorded 3 tracks so far. I'm halfway through the third. And I'm happy with the first 2 at this point. The second track is 7 minutes. It's got like a 5-minute piano part there. It initially was going to be 2 different tracks, but then I just realized they were in the same key and just having that little kind of improvised, because it's an improvised piano part. I think it sounds good. Like there's some fun stuff going on in it. And I don't usually talk up my music that I make, primarily because I'm very sort of self-conscious and almost defensive about it at times. But I figured, what's the point of doing that if you're happy with your music? Why release music that you're not happy with? So I've been putting additional effort into this stuff to kind of try and more make it related to my experiences with each of the months of the year so far. So the first track is, I think it's about January. It's like sleepy or something along those lines there, like you're waking up to a new year. The second track is Chameleon, where I learn as a human being that I still need to do more sort of self-regulation and try and find myself and try and sort of like explore my own identity, but also accept the fact that as part of the job and what people's expectations are of me, I need to consistently be different people to different people. If I'm just myself, completely rigid and inflexible, I wouldn't have the company I have, I wouldn't have the house that I have. I understand there are people who have found success by being completely inflexible in themselves. You can't always get where you want to in life, especially with customer service, if you just do whatever you want. So I find that I've just with Chameleon, and the piano part in particular goes through different parts and the sung part, because I've been doing more singing and sort of vocal parts with this album, and I'm starting to become a bit happier with my vocals. The first couple of albums I just wanted to kind of try it and see how I went, but I'm starting to find my voice using my diaphragm more, being more conscious of my vocal technique, etc., as I go along. But it's the vocals in the chorus section are talking about how it's important to be, no matter what I do, I will try and be there for the person that I need to be there for. I'm partly being a chameleon primarily because I know I need to change shades in order to protect myself, but ultimately what I want to do is do good for other people as well as myself, or at least be there and hold the hand of those people that I need to. The third track, March, is a complete vibe shift. It's a lot heavier. It's a lot more frenetic. I've got my 8-string involved in that one, and it's ferocious and it is feral. And I have learnt how to adequately process growled and screamed vocals now, and it's some of the heaviest sounding stuff that I have released, and it's just brutal. But I've managed to incorporate some really fun electronic concepts there because I want to have like a drum bass kind of drop like near the end as we go through it. I'm also thinking of putting some rapping in there or some other sort of fun harmonized vocals there, because at this point, why not? Just have fun, see what's possible. And I think with Waiting, the reason there are going to be so many different styles involved is because I want to showcase not only textural differentiation between the different parts and add further structural, excitement to it, but it's also because I can imagine a way where it would work. For me personally, I don't know what it is. Don't know if it's the same for you watching this. Hopefully you're well, by the way. For me personally, when I make a song, I can imagine the entire thing in my head, all the instruments in one. I get vivid images and audio of what that music would be like, and I'm getting better at ideating and putting that forward. And it's going well. If I'm honest, I think I'm going to get the next 6 tracks done by June because I want to not go ahead of the month I'm in to sort of figure out the vibe of what that is. December is going to be another Christmas Carol or another song, as per the last 2 albums. They're all on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you find under Spiderhands Records. But this album for me is personally quite exciting. And the reason I'm making this video and why it might potentially be mutually beneficial is that I would wholeheartedly encourage you, in a day and age where people are producing singles, to just try and make an EP, if not an album. And the reason I say that is albums are fucking awesome, dude. It's so cool to be able to just release a wider, bigger concept, just to explore a bigger form factor, to be able to approach it from the perspective of, I know that I could kind of micromanage this track and have it, have a lot of interesting things going on within a couple of minutes. But what if I had like 10 of those, or even like 8, have it below 10 tracks? And I come from a position where, as someone who can play about a dozen different instruments to a point where I can record them, and more than that, at least at an amateur stage, I understand, as well as having everything I need to produce, record, mix, and master stuff, as well as an extended knowledge of how to write music, and also with my review experience, having listened to thousands of songs over the last few years, which has come into play. I've learned a lot from listening to other people's music. I understand that for me personally, it comes from a perspective of potential privilege because of what I have and what I'm able to accomplish. But I also have spent a long time working toward that. And maybe the way to look at it is, if you're wondering if you should make an album, and if you've got the ability to do so, I'd wholeheartedly encourage it, primarily because at the end you will feel like you have truly accomplished something. What I would advise is you simultaneously plan for people to dislike it, but actively try and do the best you can to make it music you like. That way, if people like it and you like it, then you've got the best album you can possibly imagine. If people don't like it, but you like it, you know for sure that at least you're happy with it. And maybe even we can listen to the complaints that other people have to try and improve it, because people often, even without potentially knowing it, they have a propensity for uttering truths, that we should, even if it's not something that's nice or pleasant or uncomfortable. I find kids are really honest about stuff like that. With kids, you're either going to be like, wow, or they're going to be like, that they're going to be very kind of black and white about it. But I just think in this day and age where a lot of people are focusing on singles, I think that it's so easy to get lost in the abyss. And I think especially because people ask me all the time whether I'm in a band, and at this point, I'm working 6 days a week with a mixture of lessons and recording and YouTube and Fiverr and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at doing some instrumental courses once we've got the upgrades done to the house. There is a lot of what I want to do that would make, if I was to gig with a band, not only would I be working 7 days a week, I'd also be managing egos. I'd have to be sort of like patient with like the live situation, because it's going to take a year to get to a point we can play live, especially when you get to your mid-30s like I am. People typically have kids or something like that, and they have lives, and that's, again, it's totally fine. But if I can avoid it, I'd like to. And so that's why I make my own music, because I do not have to wait on anyone. I can just get up in the morning, I can just record. And again, I know that's not the same for everyone. I know that it's expensive to make an album as well. It's expensive to make an album. So maybe if you want to kind of fully self-produce, it's going to take a decade to do so. Cool. You've got a long life ahead of you. You've got a long life ahead of you. And there's no reason why, especially if you're a teenager or someone in your early 20s, there's no reason why you can't, over time, build a rapport, build your instrumental kind of like knowledge and composure, and just get yourself to a point where you can record and just make your own music. There's a wonderful array of technology to be able to be completely independent. There's literally no excuse aside from time and money, which are clearly two massive things. And I know, for example, computers are expensive right now, and a lot of stuff's expensive, and people are struggling to get by. So I suppose, yeah, maybe I should just shut up. But what I mean is that if you can, I would recommend it. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, is just, if you're umming and ahhing about it, do it. My album, I Am Done Volume 3, will be released in December. I am looking forward to seeing whatever tracks come of it, but I just know the specific track, Waiting, is probably the heaviest thing I've ever released. And it's just going to be so good. And I look forward to doing some longer form tracks as well to really just sort of explore further material there. And it's just nice to have a concept, I suppose, at the months this time. But stay cool, shredders. Probably be back to normal review videos next week. And remember, if you need a video done, if you want me to check out your music or review another song that you like, feel free to go via the Fiverr or Patreon links via the YouTube channel page. But stay cool, shredders. Spiderhands out.